US President Donald John Trump has called on Iran to unconditionally surrender. That is today, the 7th of March 2026, that Iran should unconditionally surrender. And when you talk about unconditionally, that Iran should totally drop their weapons with an allowed transition, and everybody in the Iranian regime should resign, and that Donald John Trump, needs to pick the supreme leader of Iran. He is the one that's going to pick the supreme leader of Iran. So Iran has fired back. Iran says Donald Trump is in no position to tell them to unconditionally surrender, and that they are not even going to surrender. However, that they are not going to attack any Gulf state. If they don't attack, if they are not being attacked, they will not attack. That is, if there is no attack coming from an air base from any of the Gulf states, they will not attack the Gulf state. As long as they are attacked, they will attack anybody. So, according to Donald Trump, he says that America has been able to achieve all what they needed to achieve as far as Iran is concerned, and that they are going to hit Iran very hard, and they are going to expand their scope of elimination of whoever needs to be taken out as far as the Iranian government is concerned. So Donald John Trump also made it clear that America's superiority must be felt, and also leaked out one of the secrets about attacking Iran. The secret is that it's all about weakening Iran, because Iran is the most powerful country in the Middle East, and because Iran is the most powerful country in the Middle East, only rival to American military, being that America will not take it. America cannot take it anymore. So America decided to launch the attack.
And of course, now shifting our focus back to the tensions which are escalating in West Asia, and to understand what is to come next, we're joined on the broadcast by Omeros Kizilchik. He's a non-residential fellow at the Atlantic Council, and he joins us live from Ankara, Turkey. Thank you so much, Omer, for joining us on the broadcast.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has said that Tehran does not intend to attack neighboring countries, and in a major development post the apology and assurance by Iran, the cargo movement seems to be, back in the Strait of Hormuz. It appears to be resuming, but in the same breath, the president has also said that Iran does retain the ability to defend itself against Israeli and US aggression and has no plans to surrender whatsoever. How are you reading into these statements, and what does this mean for the region according to you?
I mean, reading the statement by itself, it looks for me that the Iranian Pezeshkian president is actually giving himself some diplomatic maneuver room. So he basically said that they're targeting American bases only, which is factually not true, as we all know. But he also said that he instructed all armed forces to stop attacking any neighboring country. So does this mean the Gulf countries are included? I mean, there is an ambiguity here, because technically speaking, the Gulf states are not a neighboring country to Iran. There is the sea and water between them. So a neighboring country, for instance, is Azerbaijan, that was attacked recently, or Turkey, that was attacked one single time. And this statement comes afterwards. So was the statement only in reference to Azerbaijan or Turkey, as Pezeshkian could claim if he wants to? Or does this include the region? I believe with this statement, what Pezeshkian is trying to do is more to give room for diplomacy and to give the Gulf states, the regional states, a motivation to convince the Trump administration to engage in ceasefire talks, rather than a real diplomatic assurance that there will be no attack from Iran towards these Gulf states anymore.
Right, Omar, and we just heard the U.S. president, addressing the Shield of the Americas summit, where he said that U.S. has knocked down 42 Iranian ships. And we know the U.S. president has vowed to hit Iran very hard in the coming days and is expected to deploy a third aircraft carrier to the Middle East, where USS Gerald R. Ford and USS Abraham Lincoln are already stationed. Now, how do you read this move here?
I mean, let's be frank here. The United States of America has achieved several and many tactical successes. But tactical successes by themselves don't mean much if they are not going and collecting themselves towards a strategic success. And why is that not happening? Because I believe the strategic goal of this entire war is unclear. It's not clearly articulated. So destroying 42 Iranian ships. Would it change? Would anything change if the number was not 42, but two, or would it change if the number was 400? So what is the strategic goal here that's been achieved by these tactical victories? And the answer is unfortunately unclear. And as long as this is the case, it will not change the picture if there is a third air carrier or not. If the US is ramping up its airstrikes against Iran. I mean, yes, it will come with costs for Iran. It will increase the level of destruction. But the question is that what is the strategic goal of all of this military escalation? Is it Iran, the regime change in Iran? That's apparent now. This will very likely not happen by airstrikes from outside. And everything that we know from previous wars in the history of mankind, this is not a strategy that succeeds. It has never succeeded in the entirety of history of humankind. Or the second question is the goal to limit Iran's ballistic missile capabilities and nuclear capabilities and have Iranian regime change its foreign policy behavior? If that's the case, then why the war? I mean, Iran was going to concede on many of these issues in the negotiations at the as the Omani foreign minister has stated in the media. So this intransparency or this lack of a clear strategic goal is the main hurdle and the main issue that the United States of America is facing. They can achieve tactical victories everywhere, but it doesn't mean anything if there's no strategic goal.
Right. Oh, we hear you. And while there is a lot of ambiguity surrounding the primary fundamental objectives of this war, we've also seen this ambiguity in many ways play out in Trump's favor. But at the same time, we know that if this war becomes prolonged, the political cost in the U.S. could rise sharply. We're looking at higher energy prices, which have already kicked in, mounting security risk, and of course, the American public's deep fatigue with these open-ended wars. Now, could domestic pressure eventually become a constraint on how far Washington is willing to go on Iran?
I mean, this is the Iranian strategy. So Iran is basically hoping that by extending fire to the region and creating an international crisis in the economy, in the energy markets, and risking the security of the entire region, that the Trump administration will be forced to go towards a ceasefire deal. And here, even though the Trump administration is very clearly trying to strong-arm Iran, and they are showing bravado, we know that Trump is very keen and prone to changing his mind. So there is still the possibility for an off-ramp that Trump may eventually pursue if things are going to change. I mean, we have midterm elections in the United States of America in approximately 6 to 7 months. 7 months, sorry. And Trump needs to gain some victories in these elections. So there is the pressure on Trump to not overextend this for too long. And this may give regional states as well as Iran the opportunity to offer Trump an off-ramp that he can sell